Good to see you guys over here. I saw a setup and I thought my band was missing. I feel like Johnny Carson in the old days when he came on stage, you know, when you have the band here. It's great to be with you. I guess I'm your token Democrat, and I want to tell you a few things from my point of view. Yesterday, I went through a therapy session, and many of you probably think I probably needed one, but I got in my old 94 GMC truck, and I have a death penalty case I tried in 2001 that's still going on. I argued it at the United States Supreme Court and won, and now it's still coming back up in a lower court. So I had to go home and get a file to get prepared for it. So I put it on the Natchez Trace and put my truck on autopilot and started thinking about what I should discuss with you today, you know, primarily about issues that I deal with as Attorney General. While I was there, I got to go out and check on I talked to my parents for a minute, and I checked on my 40-year-old tractor. I've been trying to plant a deer plot for about 3 months now, so I'm late. Finally got it going, you know, and pulled the throttle back on a 166 horsepower tractor, and all you can do is just hold on and think. You know, all you got to worry about is keeping the tire in line. So I started thinking about what I would speak to you on today, you know, and rather than cybercrime or some of these other issues, I kind of contemplated what Mississippi's greatest challenges are. And, you know, I think that our greatest challenge, and we should really be at war with, is poverty and education. Those are the two major issues. You know, you hear a lot about immigration, you know, voter ID, you hear about a lot of issues out there about bonded indebtedness and all these other issues out there. But none of them are as important to Mississippi as education, particularly early childhood education. And MEC has been a great proponent of early childhood education. And let me tell you why it's so important. 85% of a child's brain, the hardwiring, is complete by age 5. So we have to begin to work toward educating at an earlier age. And many of you were around in the early 1980s when we had the battle to educate our kids at age 5. Well, now scientists have learned that we've got to start even earlier. You know, and there was a big fight about it. Many people didn't want to pay to babysit those kids' children. But it's important to us to invest in early childhood education. You know, nationally, we only spend about 9% nationally. In Mississippi, it's way less than that on children less than the age of 5. We've got to get them early to compete in this economy. And many of you think, well, what's this got to do with Attorney General? What does it have to do with it? I've been a prosecutor for 20 years. I've tried death penalty cases. I've been as hardcore of a prosecutor and locked their butts up as anybody out there. You know, but I've learned in 20 years that you can't prosecute your way out of the problems that Mississippi faces. We've got to do it through education. And, you know, many of you in MEC on the website, and Blake has been a great proponent of early childhood education, but I hadn't seen the backing. In other words, many of those that you have bankrolled into office are not doing what you have asked them to do, and that is to fund early childhood education. I mean, it's like, you know, our leaders are on the floor playing marbles when we're at war with poverty and the lack of education, but we're not doing anything to fund early childhood education. So my challenge to you as members of the MEC is to push those people that you've helped get elected to do something about it. You know, last year you got tax breaks and that helped many of you, but we're going to have the fortitude to fund issues like early childhood education. And if those members that you've helped get elected refuse to do it because they're scared of some wingnut over in the Tea Party for having to raise revenue to help fund early childhood education, then you need to move them out of the way next election cycle, because that is the most important investment that you will make. Now, many of you may be in it for just a short-term returns, you know, and you're not worried about what happens. But I think most of you here started your own business, and you want to pass it on to your children and your grandchildren. And the best way to do that, the best way to invest, is to invest in early childhood education. You know it, but then oftentimes when it's brought to your attention by somebody like a token Democrat, you leave and forget about it. But what we're going to have to do is bear down and fund it. Now, we've known these things in the past. We've seen instances where if we spend a little money on the front end, then we can recoup it on the back end. I'll give you an example. When I was the first term, I served as Attorney General. There was a lawsuit hanging out there, and that lawsuit involved our foster care system. About 3,500 kids, and there was a lawsuit by a group that if they sue you, you got to pay their lawyers hourly fees if you lose. We knew from DHS that it was going to cost us $22 million. That would have been back in 2004. If we would have invested in that legislative session, we could have stayed out of court. If we'd have spent $22 million to try to fix the problems. You remember in Florida, some of the kids got lost that were on the foster care program and things of that nature. And that was when that litigation began. I went to the legislature and I told them, you know, if you'll spend $22 million in 2004 and some more along the way, we can stay out of court. Well, guess what? They didn't do it. They didn't listen. And guess how much we have had to spend on a private law firm to defend us in a case? Over $15 million to lawyers. Now think what that could have done for our foster care system, what it could have done for our kids. And you ask, Mr. Attorney General, you got 135 lawyers. Why can't you defend it? Why are you paying some outside counsel? Well, the reason is it's 3,500 kids involved. And if you have to do a deposition on every child, every case, there's going to be 2 foster parents. There's going to be at least 1 other witness. So you're talking about 4 times 3,500 at a minimum of depositions to try to defend that case. Well, we should have listened on the front end, and we didn't. I'll give you another example that is looming out there right now. And that example is dealing with our mental health system. Now, particularly for young children, we're about to be sued. The state of Georgia's already been through it, spent over $100 million already to try to fix the problems with their mental health care system. And the United States Supreme Court says you got to do it. You got to treat people not in institutions, but you got to move them out into their homes and treat them through community services. And that's the law. I mean, you can fight it, and you can do all these things, and you can go spend $15 million on lawyers, on a private law firm, or you can try to fix the problems. And so that's the next challenge in the next legislative session, is to try to get our legislators to understand that we're going to have to spend quite a bit of money. That's going to take revenue. You know, those that gave that no new taxes pledge are going to have to, you're going to have to let the pressure off of them, because they're not going to do it. We're going to get sued. We're going to have to pay a bunch of lawyers. But if you will use your power and position, and you have it, MEC is the strongest organization probably in the state of Mississippi, but you're going to have to pull that relief valve to allow some of those legislators that took that oath that they wouldn't raise revenue to come in and try to finance early childhood education and try to fix our mental health care system. Because it's already proven that if you go to court and fight it, you're going to lose, and you're going to have to pay their lawyers $400, $500, $600, in some cases even $700 an hour, and that's just a waste of resources. But we've done it time and time again. We hadn't followed logic, but I'm hoping that you, with the MEC, will take the time to call those legislators that you helped financially and supported, and tell them it's okay if you've got to raise revenue to settle on our mental health issues. I mean, most of you wouldn't admit it, but somebody in your family or somebody you know has had a child that needed some type of mental health care. And if you've had that, or if you've been exposed to it, you're gonna find out, or if you haven't, you're gonna find out real quick that it's almost impossible to get long-term mental health care for our kids, be it from drugs or because they've been bullied on the internet or all the other problems that are occurring, particularly with young girls out there. So there is a challenge for you at the MEC, and I, as the lone Democrat in the state of Mississippi, challenge you to step up to the plate, do what you propose, do what you put on your website, and fully fund, or at least fund, childhood early education, and try to step up and urge those legislators to put the money up so that we can stay out of court on our mental health care suit. It's great being here with you on such a beautiful day. Thank you, and God bless you.